You're listening to the WenMoonPodcast, sponsored by AlphaDAO. Join us every week to listen to up-to-date news on the markets, macro, and the best degenerate stories you can't find anywhere else. Nothing on this show should be taken as financial advice. The opinions spoken here from the host and guests are our own personal opinions and should not be taken as financial advice. Now, let's get to the hosts, Clay and Taryn, and get this party started.
All right, welcome to the WenMoonPodcast. We are happy to have you guys today. We appreciate you joining in. I'm Clay, and my co-host, Mr. Taryn from the UK. We are excited today to have Mr. Douglas Horn, the author, white paper, creator of Telos. What's going on, Mr. Douglas?
Hey, I'm having a great morning here. How you guys? How's things in jolly old England there, Taryn?
It's great. It's very, very hot at the moment, which is quite unlikely. We were just coming out of the heat wave, but very excited to have you on today. Thank you so much for coming on.
I'm thrilled to be here. You guys have been, especially, you guys have been in the Telos chats and whatnot. And Clay, I think you've been around for a couple of years, so super excited to finally get to do this with you guys.
Yeah, we are really excited to have you on. So, with that, let's get started. Okay, so Douglas, let's break it down for our viewers. What exactly is Telos? What does it do? What makes it different from, Ethereum or Atom or whatever other layer one protocol? What makes you guys different, and why do you think you stand out?
Yeah, thanks for asking that, Clay. So Telos is a layer one blockchain. It's built on what's currently called the EOS.IO protocol. A new name is coming very soon, which we're excited about. Telos has several areas where it's exemplary. It has very fast block times, half a second, right, per block, as opposed to 10 minutes or 12 seconds or 6 seconds, right? Very, very fast. Individual transactions are not charging any kind of gas fee or anything on Telos, so it's basically free to operate as long as you are staking a small amount of Telos. That's exciting. Telos runs two of the main smart contract platforms in the world, right? So it runs the C++ EOS smart contract platform. And it also, since we launched our EVM, our Ethereum virtual machine, in November of last year, and been constantly upgrading it and improving it, it's the world's fastest EVM. So it also runs Solidity programs or Python programs, which in EVM is called Viper, but basically very widely used programming language. And that has opened us up to huge amounts of existing programs and existing contracts and whatnot that people can use to come in, deploy for pennies a contract and run it on Telos. We also have, so another great thing about Telos is we started out with no ICO and never really had a huge VC, any kind of big VC position in it. So it's actually run by its users. It's all the voting is done on chain. Even the actions are committed on chain. So there's really strong governance, and there's no feeling that, there's no thing where like you're running a poll and then the people who are really in power do what the poll says if they want. Telos is a very strong governance platform called Telos Decide governance engine, and it allows any users to vote. It's also unique in that any app on Telos can use it for its own uses, for its own purposes, for adding governance features to itself, and that's something that nobody else offers at this point, and it's great for dApp developers, and people have been using it to do a lot of governance things. So that Telos Decide governance engine that we built at GoodBlock, my company, and then open sourced, is a big advantage. There's a lot of advantages like that Telos has, where since our focus is on building, we've built a lot of tools that developers can use, and that's attracting a lot of interest to the chain.
Yeah, I can tell you one of the things that I love about Telos actually is that it is so fucking fast. And you guys actually set a gas fee, so we don't have to worry about like, we have to up the gas, because the network is congested.
Yeah.
You just have a set gas fee, and it's high enough to where you guys don't have to worry about spam and things like that. There should be like no front running the way you guys set things up. So
there is no front running. We've eliminated front running.
Yeah, what you guys did was really, really genius on that. I did want to touch on real quick. So regular people like myself, we can run a node, we can do whatever. How much Telos does one need to run a node? And then, how do we profit off that? I believe some of the fees and things like that go to node holders. Can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, Telos is delegated proof of stake, not regular proof of stake. So, people who, there's no really need to run a node unless you're really committed. The node, one of the secret sauce for why Telos is so fast and powerful is that it's not just anyone running a node on their laptop or whatever. It's like I have a data center with a full rack with all kinds of equipment that's dedicated to Telos and dstore, right? And it's on fastest internet backbone, and so because these are the nodes that are actually operating the network, it runs much faster than it possibly could on home machines or even low power professional machines. So that infrastructure providing is very important, and not everybody wants to do that. So that's one of the reasons why we have fewer nodes. But what you can do is you can stake your tokens, decide on who you want to be the block producers, like Good Block, like the others. Make your votes. You will pick you will as a community pick the validators, and you get a staking reward for staking into Rex. Currently it's into the resource exchange. Currently that's about 13.5% annually, with no risk of impermanent loss. We are right now, even as we speak, launching Telos, which is a single asset staked Telos on Telos EVM. That gets it's probably going to get about 11% APR
to STEs.
Yeah, it's the same. It uses an Ethereum vault to
Gotcha.
run, to give a Telos is basically like a deposit receipt into that pool, and the pool constantly grows with the new funds that are brought in as staking rewards to that's how we share the wealth. By the way, there's no inflation on Telos. Those staking rewards are left over from our Telos that are left over from accounts, airdrop accounts that had a whole year to do any single action on the network, and then they could keep their account. If they didn't, those were reclaimed per the governance, and that actually brought in enough Telos in a reserve to be able to run the chain for the past 2.5 years with no inflation whatsoever, no new tokens created, right? New tokens did come into supply from those reserves, but no new tokens created. And things like the fees from EVM, even though they're very low, in aggregate, they are going to be enough, we hope, to replenish those, so we can keep offering staking and keep offering inflation-free
I guess
tokenomics.
With that, you also reduce user acquisition costs massively.
We reduce our what?
User acquisition costs quite massively, right? Because these were already in supply that you recalled back into your treasury.
Yeah, one of the things with Telos is we realized very early that you needed to have free account creation for real accounts, not just like light accounts. With EOS, there was a problem that you had to get somebody who already had EOS to create an account for you, and it cost whatever. With Telos, we said no, that's going to stand in the way of user acquisition, and so we just built very simple platform that does that for users. It definitely has some spam prevention features, but it's very easy. You don't need anybody's help to get a Telos account. And our user acquisition costs, you're right, they're quite low. There's just not that, they're paid in Telos, and we have that, and we know that getting real users is paramount importance for the community.
Yeah,
So.
Douglas, I had one more kind of protocol type question when I was researching Telos. You guys don't have a mempool. Can you kind of explain to the listeners, viewers, like, we know that Bitcoin has a mempool, it can get congested, things can take forever to get through. So can you explain like kind of how that works with no mempool?
Yeah, absolutely. So what a mempool is, for those who don't know, is a pool of unprocessed transactions. So if I make a request to Bitcoin, and before it gets processed, it gets pulled into a block, it sits in a mempool. Same with Ethereum, and anything based on Ethereum. So that mempool is publicly visible, right? And that means a few things can happen. Well, so that's also why you set gas prices, or transaction, or how many sats you want to send. What the miners typically would say, okay, well, we want to collect the highest, the transactions with the highest fees, so we can make the most money. And so if you had too low of a transaction fee, sometimes things would get stuck, right? And it's very frustrating, right? Because you can't do much while a transaction is stuck. But it also means that anyone can read the transaction you're making. And in DeFi, people can read those and trade against those, right? And front run them by offering more gas, so they get to jump in line ahead, or by paying the block, or the producer pools behind outside of the system to process theirs first, right? Either to front run others, or protect their transactions from being front run. So we don't use that on Telos because it's so fast. It's half a second, but the capacity is so huge, right? We say 10,000 transactions per second because 2 years ago we did a experiment to prove that. But it's actually much higher, and Telos is going to be showing that with real evidence. We don't like to just say, like make up numbers, but over the next few months, you'll be seeing evidence-based proof that we are that Telos is much faster than even 10,000 TPS. That's a little alpha drop for you guys. So that mempool just sits there, and people can look at it, and so bots basically trade against it and go, oh, here's a big buy, we're gonna put in a little buy so that we can sell that right afterwards, sort of sandwich that transaction and just make a guaranteed profit. You see that all over on, like, if you go to like Dex tools or something like that, you'll see like the little red burglar on transactions. It's very frustrating when it's your transaction. So we don't have that. That's that's maybe half or a third of the reason why you can't do front running on Telos, because and especially on Telos EVM, there's flat gas fees. So it means everyone pays the same gas fee, even if you try and pay more at any given time. They vary over time, but at any given time, the gas fees is exactly the same for everyone. So there's no jumping ahead. The Telos operating software and the Telos governance both prevent any block producers from reordering transactions. And so, block producers get the transactions in slightly different orders because of latency and whatnot, but it's very small. And because Telos is so fast, it all happens in a half second anyway. And, there can be easily 5,000 transactions in that half second block, right? So we're nowhere near that level. No one is, by the way. Everyone talks about 10,000 TPS. No blockchains, number of blockchains combined actually do 10,000 TPS in the world. Right?
And a lot of the blockchains that say, oh, we're doing 10,000, 25,000 TPS. because no one's using no one's using it really,
Yeah.
It hasn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be a fair dig at Telos too. We're certainly not overburdened with users right now. We think that's going to happen as we keep, you keep making the fastest, most easy to use EVM with the tools people want. Eventually, they'll use it. Like for me, using Telos EVM for DeFi or NFT purchase or anything, it spoils me for everything else. Because first of all, I press, confirm on MetaMask and it's done, right? MetaMask is actually too slow to show how fast it is, but I've done these things where I have like two windows open side by side, one's on the block producer, and you press thing and like it's just instant, right? So that spoils you. The other thing that spoils you is the flat gas fees. So back in the day, people used to say, well, what's your favorite blockchain game? And I would say, trying to guess how low I can put my gas to get a transaction to actually go through and not get stuck. That's my favorite game.
I guess
how much, because things get stuck.
A lot of the other layer ones, their marketing plays is, oh, we do 10,000 transactions per second. They're wallet to wallet. They do not ever interact with a smart contract. Well, when you see the transactions per second that interact with a smart contract, they're like 2.
Or they stall. Yeah. No, I mean, not to name any names, but yeah, we've seen we've seen chains shut down, when they hit too many, and not just the one you're thinking of right now, but others.
Taking a step back though, let's talk a bit about regulation, because recently the SEC probed an insider trading investigation into Coinbase and some of Coinbase's I think the ex-manager, and they also launched another probe saying, well, Coinbase lists securities. So securities law is probably one of the biggest, I guess, fears or pain points of the crypto industry as a whole. Are tokens, so I'm asking you the question, is Telos a security? How is it different from other tokens like Ethereum and Bitcoin? I mean, Coinbase clearly denied that there's any security listed on its platform, which was supported by a lot of the other regulatory bodies, but keen to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, it's a question close to my heart. So Telos has done everything possible not to be security. It's a real standout, and it has cost us over the years in terms of growth and money available and whatnot. But as I mentioned, Telos never did an ICO. So that's the first. That was their sort of the first thing, right? The Telos mainnet was live and operating before Telos tokens were released, or like all at the same time, right? There was never a pre-sale of any kind before there was a live network. Telos has a purpose, which is buying network resources and distributing network resources. And there's also no company behind Telos. There's no single company that's running it. It's run by, multiple companies and entities around the world. Anyone could, including mine, could drop out for any amount of time, and everything would work just fine, right? These companies, again, can't have any, you can't have co-ownership. And there's a lot of evidence that there's no collusion. Like, in fact, we have fierce debates about certain things. So these are all the things that the SEC in the US has ever given any kind of guidance on. And we are very confident that we have done what very few have. So that we will be safe in what's coming forward. Bitcoin is probably safe. It's certainly safe. There's really just a handful of others. I'd say Ravencoin, did follow a lot of these same things. No affiliation whatsoever. Well, I guess I do still mine Ravencoin. It's my whole GPUs. But Hive didn't do this. They kind of broke off from Steam and started on their own. And Telos, those are the ones that I can think of right now. Now, there's been a lot said about Ethereum not being one, and I hope that's true. I think it'd be great if most weren't declared securities. But if you dig into what the SEC is doing, right, what they did with Coinbase, and Coinbase is not faultless, because 2 or 3 years ago, they had something like this happen again, and they said before, and they said, "Oh, we are going to stop our employees from ever doing insider trading," which is frankly impossible, right? And so it's happened again, and they've been caught, and who knows how many times it's been happening. Basically, what they're accused of is that people who knew what tokens were going to be listed would, have that advanced knowledge, could buy it on other accounts, and then when they got listed on Coinbase, there's a big bump, right? That insider knowledge. Whether or not that happened, I don't know, but to me, it's a little bit of a cockroach thing. If you've actually,
they are very strong allegations.
It definitely,
yeah, but I'm no expert on that, so I'm.
Yeah.
But what I would say, why is the SEC saying all of these are securities? And the answer is because the SEC only regulates securities, right? So for the SEC to have jurisdiction, they have to be securities, right? So they are inserting themselves. There's been a number of things happening in the U.S. where there's courts are clamping down on agencies that define their own role outside of what Congress defined for them. The securities laws are from 1930s. Nobody anticipated things like this. And I think they're trying to apply, the Howey test, the rule about orange groves, to decentralized organizations where they really don't apply. Now, some they do, right? Some, there have been bare naked ICOs that were just rug pulls or whatever. I think in EOS's case, if Block One were still in that, they might go after them, even though they had a no contest sort of plea and made a deal. But EOS is completely broken free. Everyone is completely broken free from Block One, and so EOS today, is much like Telos. Telos is a much stronger case, but I personally think EOS's case is probably strong enough, in my personal opinion. But I'm not a securities lawyer. But a lot of these are scams that should be shut down, and that'll be good.
Yeah, I agree. And going back kind of to the landscape, we're just been having a chat here about regulation. Right now, no denying it, we are in a bear market. I believe the macro looks pretty horrible for the world. There's a lot of bad stuff going on. I wanted to ask you, Douglas, how does the Telos team look during the bear market? Do you guys have runway enough to pay your devs and whoever else? Let's say this lasts another 2 years or something like that. We see so many projects that go totally busto. They're out buying yachts. They're having these parties. We hit a bear market. They can't pay anyone, and they literally just fold. So can you kind of let us know how you guys look right now?
Yeah, we look great. So Telos was born in a bear market, in the longest bear market. Telos didn't even have ICO funds to run with. We had to get any kind of funding. We had to invent our own and bootstrap our own funding mechanism to get where we are. And for a long time, for a while, till 2 years ago, Telos was under a penny, right? And it was historically around 5 cents, in good times. So we know how. Nobody has a yacht, to my knowledge. We're I'm probably the poorest founder in crypto, and I'm fine with that, because I'm not pleading poverty at all, but I'm just saying I'm not skydiving and doing things like that. None of the team are. We're head down. We have something we really want to make to work. During the time when Telos was at 90 cents, we made our only, what you call, VC deal, where we sold about 8 million Telos to a small group run by John Lilick, or fronted by John Lilick, who a lot of people know is a big investor and very successful investor in crypto. And he and his group, no one could get more than 2 million Telos, was part of our deal. They bought at $1, at a 10% premium over where we were, 11%. And so we banked that. that we kept that in USD. We've had the different organizations, the Telos Foundation, which is, does not run. It's not like the Litecoin Foundation where they basically run it. It's truly just a marketing arm and gives us some kind of corporate footprint so that we can make deals with conferences and advertisers and things like that. And then the Telos core developers, we took some of that, half of that went into liquidity and half of that went in, which we own, right? And half of that went into to building out our runway for in case there was a bear market, right? So very smart to say, okay, the times are good, and sure, Telos is going to $10, but it's at 90 cents now. Let's sell a little bit and tuck it away just in case. So that's what we did. And we regularly report, I'm not sure if it's quarterly or internally, we do it monthly, how those are used. And both the Telos Foundation and the Telos Core Devs, even though their monies are separate, both have approximately a 13-month runway where we can continue at our present without raising any more money, right?
Okay, that's great to know. That's great to know.
We want to keep it over a year. It's funny that they're both the same because they are distinct organizations. But yeah, that's like if you look at what we build, that's enough for doing a lot of things, especially with now we along with the EOS.io coalition. I can't wait till there's a new name. I say it every time. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be something like Apple or Alphabet or Amazon, right? And not something like blah blah, something weird crypto acronym. And people are gonna love it. So we are working with them. We got a great deal. Telos, because we had an existing foundation and core development team that EOS and the others, EOS particularly didn't have, and we were able to contribute very strongly to founding that organization. We're with EOS, WAX, and UX, Telos are the founders, and we did a lot of work. And as a result, we get a lot of benefit for very little development cost, right? EOS bears, because of its value, it bears the most of that. And as Telos increases, we will bear more. But right now, it's an amazing way to extend the development that we're bringing in. And that coalition is bringing in fast finality, meaning it's going to be 3 seconds or less total finality on transactions. Amazing. All kinds of new intrinsics like zero knowledge proofs, ZK proofs, all the stuff you're seeing. A robust set of tools that are going to aim towards mass adoption for everyone. And all that will raise all of the chains that are based on what we currently call EOS.io. But Telos will do really great, and that greatly extends our ability to develop new stuff, because some of the things that we're developing are actually going to be paid for by the coalition. So it actually brings in an additional source of revenue on some of these things, but also just because we leverage the power of working together. I think that's a story that, I'm not here to push EOS or WAX or UX, but I'll tell you, I think or Ultra, which is not part of the coalition, but still based on the software. Those chains are all likely to benefit greatly from the work we're doing together. So I'm very positive. I think you're going to start seeing that as a Cosmos ecosystem, and people are like, I've been the most critical person of EOS. So if I'm saying that I think us working together is going to help everybody, that's something. I've not been a fanboy, right? So that's a alpha drop number 2. The Mandel release, which is the newest release, is coming out right now. We have probably in 1 month it'll probably hit the mainnets. We're testing it. It's on its 3rd release candidate. So we found all the errors and getting it audited and whatnot, and it is exciting. Telos, I think Telos will do the best of those, because we have all these additional tools that you get, and also because the price. And I don't like to talk about price, but it's very depressed compared to similar chains, what their values are, Solana and Cardano and Phantom and Avalanche and things, all chains that we beat in most respects, most technical aspects, but don't have the same funding as and the same user base as yet, but
yeah, that's actually what I wanted to get into next, and this is probably going to be kind of the end here, wrapping it up. But I had two important questions. Yes, so I am going to ask one tough question. I hope you don't mind. So,
no, I love tough questions.
We are potentially, I know it's been years I've been talking about it, we are potentially getting close to the merge with Ethereum. The big thing happening in crypto right now, it's holding up the whole market. If Ethereum actually hits these milestones and they get sharding later on, things like that, and they're able to do tens of thousands of transactions per second, why do we need Telos? Why do we need any other layer one? Does this make you obsolete? And then after that, I was going to kind of wrap it up. And can you tell our viewers why you think Telos stands out and why you think you guys are going to have lasting power and how we're going to bring Telos to the mainstream? Because right now you guys are just heads down building, but we really need to get some kind of awareness that you guys are actually here.
Great questions. And I actually love those kinds of questions because it gives me a chance to address these things. So as you alluded to, the Ethereum roadmap, while it's reaching the merge, it's never hit a deadline, right? And it's never hit an extended deadline. So and which is hard because they're trying to take an airplane that's already flying and rebuild it while, without landing. So, and my hat's off to them. They do a lot. But I would say this whole merge, purge, slurge, splurge, urge type roadmap. I mean, that's very much marketing stuff. They're like, by the end of this, we're going to have 100,000 TPS. And it's like, nobody know when is that going to be, right? So first of all, I'm a bit suspect about their timelines, but regardless of that, Telos is definitely going to have a place in the future, even where others don't. So for one thing, Telos is basically Ethereum 3.0 while they're trying to get to Ethereum 2.0. So they're still going to have slower block times than we have. They're still going to have like 12-second block times, not half-second block times. That's 24 times faster. They're going to have a lot more space, but it's going to be sharded, meaning it's broken up into different places. And if you want to do a DeFi transaction, you can't do that across a different shard in one block, right? You have to move stuff from here to there. That means that where the DeFi is happening is still going to be super hot and high transaction fees, right? Because that's, all those things are going to be in one shard, and one shard is basically going to be roughly the size of Ethereum today, right? Maybe a little larger, but so in certain types of things, it's just going to depend on what shard you're on, and each shard is going to have its own capacity issues. And even though the whole chain can do a lot, shards can still get congested, right? Nobody thinks about that. They're moving to eWASM, which is a WebAssembly, a much faster way of executing. We already have that. They're not doing anything to address front running or MEV, maximum extractable value, right? Which is what we talked about a little bit before. And which, by the way, that's a huge thing. You don't hear about it enough because nobody has a solution. So they don't want to talk about it. It's an elephant in the room, but we have a solution. And as time goes by, you'll see more and more people appreciate that once they realize it. All kinds of apps really are on Telos right now. This is based on real usage. And these new things that are coming out in our current Mandel release or the next releases that are coming out, all the ZK zero knowledge proof intrinsics, and all kinds of additional faster finality, faster IBC, which is inter-blockchain communication, which is real. An app on Telos can make an app on EOS do something and send that, and then send something to an app on Wax, right? All in sort of invisibly to the user. Those types of things are going to be huge. I think what we're going to see is a really strong multi-chain system that's, currently, even if EOS and Telos and Cosmos and and Solana and Ethereum all worked and were working at maximum capacity for the next couple of years, the actual the movement into blockchain is much bigger. It's going to be much bigger. Everything's going to blockchain. I know people have said that for a long time, but it's really happening. And once it sort of like flips that switch, it's going to be like payments on the internet, right? When back in 1990, whatever, when people actually started using their credit cards or buying things on the internet, and then swiftly, once it gets over that hump, everyone's doing it. And when that happens, even all those chains together aren't going to be enough to manage the capacity. So, but Telos is a unique space. It's got it's the speed leader. It's a capacity leader. You'll see that, as I said, you'll see that 10,000 TPS is not only real 2 years ago, but the current numbers that are real are pretty impressive. And I'm talking about reporting on both sustained and burst speed, right? Nobody really reports on that because they don't have any data. So we're going to come out with data. People are going to see it. It's going to be obvious. I'm really excited about all those things. I'm excited about the movement towards better mass adoption. What has hurt us, to your question, in the past and continues to, is, the flip side of doing no ICO is that you never had that big, huge thing of cash to sit on. The flip side of not having a big centralized company, like Ripple or something like that, behind the token means that you have to make decisions in a decentralized way, right? Which always takes longer. Although I would say that our community running the chain is a huge strength, and our ability to make community-led decisions in less than 2 weeks makes us very nimble.
Makes it very easy when it comes to securities, like staying clear to the SEC, your relation with the protocol itself. Douglas, it was amazing having you on. Tell our users where they can go to get started with Telos, and what they should look forward to.
Yeah, you guys have a faucet, right?
There is a faucet. Yeah. So the best place to go is telos.net. There's all kinds of things. There's documentation, docs at telos.net. There's a block explorer that's great called explorer.telos.net. There's a cool wallet.telos.net. So all of our things go off telos.net. If you want to learn about Decide Voter, you can look at it. You look it up in the app stores, or go to decidevoter.app. If you want to learn about DStore, it's dstore.cloud. If you want to learn about my particular company, GoodBlock, it's goodblock.io. And yes, I will give you guys, the link to the faucet so that people can go in. You can create a free, so the faucet is for the testnet, right? But you can create a free account using any of the wallets that are linked at telos.net. So I would go there. On Twitter, at Hello Telos is our main channel, a great place to follow. I'm at Douglas_Horn if anyone wants to follow me. And boy, I love talking about this. Our Telegram is super, hop in.
Love your Telegram, by the way. It's awesome. It's very developer.
It's really positive, isn't it?
Everyone's positive. Everyone's passionate. And I think that gives a good vibe for the whole Telos community.
That's what brought me on to Telos a long time ago, and also kept me in the project, was that I've been in all the Telegrams. I've talked to devs and things like that. Not one person talks about price, which to me is one of the most important things. You guys have just always been building, and I hope you guys continue. Me and Taryn have had a great chat with you. Appreciate you coming on. For the viewers, listeners, all the links are going to be in our YouTube channel and on our Twitter page. Douglas, we've had a blast. We hope to have you on again in the future.
Anytime, Clay. This has been super fun. I mean, and by the way, I don't think you were grilling me that hard. I think you could take the gloves off next time. I love those questions. And I mean, even as you see in the Telos channels and Telegram, it's not, we don't shush dissent. We strengthen ourselves from it. We shush, like trolls, but if somebody has you'll see a lot of different opinions there. That's the strength, and the reason it stays friendly is that people can actually, they don't just talk about it, they can actually vote on it and run the chain.
It's a very involved community, for sure.
It is.
Guys,
I'm very grateful for that, and I'm grateful for you guys. Thank you so much.
We're grateful
Come
for
on
you
anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had a really good time. I want to thank everybody for listening. We're going to wrap it up here. Appreciate you guys tuning in to the WenMoon podcast, and we'll see you again next week.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.